This content is brought to you by Kim Westland Incorporated, helping you create a vision for your life. Welcome to Create Your Vision. I'm Kim Westland, and I want to help you discover and take action on your vision so you can build the life you've always dreamed about. Have you ever had a thought or an idea or a dream and it seemed so much bigger than what you thought you were capable of? And yet, as crazy as it may sound to you or others, there's just something inside that won't let you abandon it. That can be such a hard and frustrating place to be because there's a big gap between what you see inside versus what you see all around you in reality. So, what do you do when your natural instincts tell you to just get real and face reality and just settle for what you have? What do you do when you feel that pull to do something so far out of your comfort zone and instead find yourself following the crowd and what you see others all around you doing, even though it's not what you really want? I truly believe you can push past these roadblocks and gain greater perspective on why you need to follow your heart and pursue what may seem so impossible to you today. I am going to cover 3 key areas that may be causing you to shrink back and pull back and retreat on some of the things that are so important to you in your heart. And then also some ways that you can tackle these things to get you back on track and excited about your future and just fuel you to keep going despite what the odds look like. You can stand up tall and know that what you're doing, even though you may not have it all laid out and know all the answers, but you'll know what you're doing will impact the world around you if you identify your barriers and get the tools and the perspective to persevere past them. So let's dig in here. One of the things that I've always had to be so careful about that I find myself doing once in a while is focusing on me instead of focusing on who I'm helping. What happens is when you turn inward and you start to focus on all the things you don't know and your own limitations, and maybe even comparing yourself to others, and you find yourself coming up short in a lot of ways, that will almost immediately cause you to stumble because you're now narrowing your view to your own natural abilities and your shortcomings. And it's easy to become zeroed in on those gaps that we have and all the mistakes maybe that we've potentially made in the past. As human beings, I think we have a tendency to just gravitate to where we fall short and the negative things that are holding us back. As much as you are the vehicle to bring this dream to pass, it's so important to remember that it's just not all about you. It's thinking about and focusing on the impact you will have on others through the process that really always has to be front and center. And it's dangerous when we lose sight of that because that's when we naturally want to shrink back. We need to avoid getting out that magnifying glass and dissecting every little detail of ourselves and our abilities and all the things that we haven't learned because we will absolutely fall short every single time. Our world tends to really shrink when we take this approach. We lose sight of the big picture and why we are going after those dreams in the first place. Every time I start getting overwhelmed with my vision because it looks so big, I have to purposely take a step back and regain the focus that I need. I walk away and I regroup. I think about what the impact will be if I don't follow my heart and my vision. I almost flip it on its head. I reverse engineer and think about what will happen if I don't follow through. And if you're like me, I truly lean on God to take care of my biggest fears because they show up. The bigger the vision, probably the bigger the fear. It's so comforting for me to know that I don't have to have it all figured out. And God is with me as I walk through those unknown areas. So maybe that's comforting for you to know today that God can walk through those places that you don't have figured out, and you can let Him figure that out for you. Another key point here is for many of us, the first thought that we have when we have a big vision or a big goal is, I just don't have time. Our perceived lack of time can cause us to justify not doing important things. That's just the bottom line. You most likely have more time than you think. You may just be wasting some of it on things that really don't matter as much. Here's the simple truth. We all have 24 hours in a day. So why is it that some people get so much more done in those 24 hours and others do not? If we all have the same 24 hours, it really boils down to priorities and what we're choosing to do with our time each day. It's all in how we look at it, because you're never really giving up your time if you replace that time with something valuable. Focus on what you're gaining and not so much on what you're trading in. That really helps reframe how you can purpose your time in a better way. One trap that I am constantly monitoring for myself is what I do when I first open my eyes in the morning. I noticed it became a huge habit of mine to grab my phone, which I have plugged in very close to me. Sometimes before my eyes were even really open, I'm feeling around for my phone. Once I grab it, I start scrolling. And before I know it, I can waste 30 to 45 minutes and my feet haven't even hit the floor. What I realize is that I'm at my very best first thing in the morning. And I was starting to trade my most alert, productive time for something that wasn't profiting me at all. And when I really stopped and thought about it, I didn't want to start my day that way, but I was choosing to do it out of habit. And if you start adding that time up over a week, a month, or even a year, I figured it out for a year. It's 3 full weeks of work. That was crazy. When you start putting it in those terms, it kind of wakes you up and shakes you into reality. It may not be big blocks of time in the moment. It could be small menial tasks that are just adding up throughout the day. Maybe you have a favorite TV show or a favorite word puzzle or something that you do that just kind of fills time. And that has you saying, I just don't have the time. But really, it comes down to those priorities. So what do you spend your time each day doing? I know we're all at different stages of life and we all have different responsibilities, and it's important to touch on that as well. Not everybody's life and calendar looks the same, but it's worth a good hard look at what is on your calendar and where it falls in the list of priorities. I can almost guarantee something can be adjusted to better support your goals. Sometimes the things we think are important just aren't anymore. Maybe they were at one point, but maybe life has changed and priorities have changed, and we've just gotten used to them being there. And I will note, this isn't about taking away all the fun things in your life. It's simply about putting your vision, which is important to you, in your calendar and making it a priority. This may be a really good time to do a bit of a time audit, even in your business. What are you spending time on each week? If you're struggling with getting some traction and maybe sales have plateaued and things are just not moving ahead and your innovation just has kind of come to a standstill, you may need to adjust some things in your calendar to free up some space to make sure that company vision or business vision is in the forefront yet again. It may be time just overall for an honest assessment of how you spend your time each and every day. You may be shocked at how these minor adjustments will produce major results in no time. Don't let a perceived lack of time allow you to shrink back from achieving great things. The third point that I'd like to make is maybe there's a possible lack of dreamers or dream content in your life. I know in the past I've talked a lot about Being mindful of limiting or even removing time with people who tend to be critical or negative about what you're doing, about your big ideas and your dreams and your vision. But it's also just as important to find people who actually motivate you to keep going. Finding people who have faced similar obstacles or roadblocks and have found ways to overcome and go on to find success are people you want to be around. Those are the people that are going to fuel you. And you might even want to call them a dream mentor. I can't tell you how many times I have felt discouraged, and then I call someone who I know will give me some encouragement and help me see past what's keeping me stuck. I realize also that not everyone has a person like that in their life. And there's been times that I haven't had that person either. There's just different seasons that we walk through. So what do you do in those situations? I'll tell you what I did. I had to learn how to encourage myself, spending time listening to some people that I follow online or that I've heard at a conference that I can look up to and respect. Even when I read books, the words of wisdom on a page can be so transformational. Even though it's not a personal conversation one-on-one, I can still get what I need to be inspired and keep going just by zeroing in on some words of wisdom and great things being said by somebody I admire. Just the other day, I was sitting here working and feeling a little bit tired and unmotivated, and my friend sent along a video to me, a very inspirational video that was just over 6 minutes long. And those were the 6 minutes that I needed to pick me back up in my mind, in my heart, and just gave me some energy. And I felt so motivated to hear someone's story and how they overcame the odds. So if you're curious and maybe you're in that place today, I'm going to post that link in the description. So check that out. Maybe the 6 minutes you're needing today. When you're feeling like you've hit the maximum, and you're just tapped out, it's probably also not the time to just zone out and try not to think about what's working. I know we all need breaks, take a step away. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to find your people who will speak life into you, finding those words of wisdom. And sometimes we have to go looking for them. We have to seek them out. They're not just always going to land in our lap. So go find those words today. Find the wisdom you need to keep going. That's exactly why I started a membership community, as well as this podcast, to help each other and cheer each other on to greatness, no matter where you're at in your journey. If you are curious about my membership community, I'll post a link for that as well in the description. But if this is you and you find yourself shrinking back from your big vision, because it's so much more than what you feel you can handle today, I want to encourage you, focus on the big picture, not your abilities, not all the things that maybe you've done wrong or haven't succeeded in or even failed in. Zoom out and revisit why this vision is so important to you. Picture the people who are going to be impacted by the great things that you are endeavoring to do. And get that vision board out in front of you. If you don't have one, or you'd like to know more about how to explore your vision and start on a brand new, meaningful path in life, or just get refocused, please reach out. I also have a newsletter you can join for free, and we'll link you with some amazing resources to help you. Subscribe to this channel for more inspiration and tools to build your vision. Thanks for listening.